Hello everyone, this is Group 10 and we are here to present food security. At least 155 million people suffer from serious nutritional inequities within the secure population. There's a position have been worsened due to pandemic. In case of COVID-19, the issue was not much of a shortage of food as the availability of world supply is plentiful, but rather a sudden decline in income and employment. These cases have many in developing countries, but also is there in developed countries. We must recognize that there are presently no issue with agriculture supply. However, the issue is on the demand side. As a necessary isolation, social distancing, and combined with the period of panic, the income and employment of millions of people have been decreased, particularly those in service sectors such as tourism, transportation, etc. Trade has also suffered, particularly small and micro enterprises, as they have formal and self-employed individuals who are facing with unemployment and also severe shortage of revenue. So much as to they cannot cover the basic requirement, beginning with food. That's all from me. Now I hand over to Gautam.
As for the report, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, which had a widespread impact throughout the nation, resulted in layoff of millions of employees and also resulted in substantial drop in wages for those who remained working in the same capacity. Due to the fall of purchasing power, public services, especially nutrition-related services, were having an adverse impact as midday meal schemes, etc. were suspended. Next slide, please. As for the problems of food security in 2020, the income losses that resulted due to increasing job turnover resulted in an increase in food insecurity. Next slide, please. The estimation of food insecurity has been displaying that the disadvantaged groups were under a poor condition. Example, Action Aid estimated that 35% of roughly 10,000 informal workers were consuming less than 2 meals each day. Also, the condition of migrant workers in Bihar were very bad as they weren't able to provide 2 square meals per day for all their family members. Next slide, please. This slide shows the average monthly per capita expenditure on the selected food items such as cereals, fruit, eggs, meat and fish, etc. Now I pass on to Richa for pre-pandemic situation.
Food security, as defined by United Nations Committee, means that all people at all times have physical, social, and economic access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food that meets their food preferences and dietary needs for an actively and healthy life. Even before the outbreak of COVID-19, the global food systems were at a critical juncture. 27.8% of India's population suffered from moderate or severe food insecurity in 2014 to 16 and 31.6% in 2017 to 19. Food security concerns can be traced back to the experience of the Bengal famine in 1943, the Green Revolution followed by the White Revolution, which was initiated by Operation Flood during the 1970s and 1980s. One of the recent experiences of immensely increased food security risk was the banning of endosulfan in 2011. Indiscriminate use of endosulfan for years has introduced serious environmental and health issues, and this was the cheapest pesticide available then. Next slide, please. The prevalence of undernourishment was estimated to be remaining virtually unchanged from 2014 to 19 at 8.4%, but climbed to around 9.9% in 2020. Also, the world was progressing with transformative approaches towards ensuring access to safe, nutritious, and sufficient food for all people all year round and to eradicating all forms of malnutrition by 2030. However, the COVID-19 pandemic made the pathway towards the Sustainable Development Goals even steeper. Now, Amal will be explaining about the current situation.
Now let us understand about the current situation of food insecurity in India. As of now, India stands at 71st position on the Global Food Security Index. According to this report, India has an overall score of 57.2 points on the GFS Index 2021, which is conducted about 113 countries. But India lags behind other countries such as Pakistan in terms of food affordability, according to the report. Food insecurity rose from 31.6% in 2019 to 38.4% in 2021 in terms of prevalence rates. The long-standing problems of unemployment, inflation, informal sector employment, and economic slowdown was aggravated in 2020, which is mainly resulted due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Inadequate distribution of food through PDS systems. Deserving beneficiaries of the subsidy are usually excluded on the basis of non-ownership of below the poverty line basis as a criterion, which resulted in many households not getting even the equal right of BPL. This is one of the situation which is prevalent in India, which is leading to food insecurity, social economic distress. Despite being self-sufficient in the production of major food commodities, problems of hunger and food insecurity are grave in India because of widespread economic distress, high levels of unemployment, high levels of inequality. A large proportion of the poor is dependent on the informal economy in which incomes are too low and uncertain in nature. Now, George will be evaluating the entire report.
Now let's talk about what we understood from this presentation. The economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic in India has been largely disruptive. India's growth in fourth quarter of the fiscal year 2020 went down to 3.1% according to the Ministry of Statistics. The pandemic affected food security drastically. In the Right to Food campaign's Hunger Watch study in September to October 2020, 2/3 of respondents indicated that they were consuming less nutritious food than before the lockdown. Available evidence suggests that India's food security is also under threat from climate change. A 2020 report by the Ministry of Earth and Sciences shows that there has been a decline in monsoon precipitation levels, increase in droughts, and post-monsoon cyclonic storms. The combination of declining precipitation levels and increasing extreme weather events would have a severe impact on our food production capabilities. Furthermore, estimates by National Innovations on Climate Resilient Agriculture point out that yields of crops like rice and maize would decrease. In 2020, substantial job and income losses resulted in an increase in food insecurity. From the graphs of average monthly per capita expenditure on selected food items, it can be found out that during 2019 to 20, the price of the goods have been rapidly decreased for fruits, eggs, and meat and fish. It decreases the most in case of meat and fish. Currently, India stands 71st on Global Food Security Index. Food security rose from 31.6% in 2019 to 38.4% in 2021, and also found inadequate distribution of food through PDS. That's all about our presentation on food security during pandemic. Hope you guys liked our presentation. Thank you.